Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward, and this is Face to Face. Our guest this week is Earl Wood, whose voice and excitement kicks off every game of Rogers hometown hockey in Plains Cree on APTN. Wood is from Saddle Lake Cree Nation and is also a member of the music group the Northern Cree Singers. Northern Cree have been nominated for 9 Grammy Awards and 2 Juno Awards. Earl, it's a real pleasure to welcome you here to the show. Thanks for doing this with us. Let's start with, how did you end up becoming a host for Rogers hometown hockey in Plains Cree on APTN?
Hi, thank you very much. Nagiwi tamago ay ano tenigan, nigan, katatamskagi in pogo. No tatamskat na au minakak, kyo au muta kantu tamego muta, niwakuma kantekuma, iku muta emata pikswell note. Mina kiawa unotskopuno cha isinawag tatamskat na au minasagit na au minananas kumawag mina kitiaya gumuta at pugumuta kapamagute kuma nehiawewen. Thank you to your show. As is customary, I felt that it was necessary to acknowledge the people out there, my people out there. Tatamskat na magamina say, and I thank you for inviting me on here. When Northern Cree started out 30 some odd years ago, it consisted of 3 brothers, and it was by necessity almost. We grew up in a vibratory reality of our father being a singer, our late dad, and he was a hand game player, and he was a saddle bronc rider, and we grew up in almost like the toxic fringes of the intention of colonization and assimilation regarding residential school, residential school, 60 scoops. And also day school. I can say that we come through all 3 of those actually, and singing was a way of transcending ourselves to our authentic self, and almost like communicating with Creator and creation from that authentic place that we all come into this reality with when we come from that spirit world.
So given that you did go through, all of those efforts to assimilate, was it a difficult journey for you to retain your language?
I think growing up hearing it for the time that we were a family, like a complete family, that's all we heard was the Cree language. And then when we went off to boarding school and we went off to these other areas, the language became dormant. But I strongly believe that we have genetic knowledge as Indigenous people, and the Creator gives us something that is our evolutionary protection, which is our intelligence. And in this toxic reality that we exist in, to get back to that essential being of which you are as an Indigenous person, I think that the language is a catalyst for that.
When we had your colleague on here, Clarence, to retain his language, he said he used to talk to himself all the time, and that's how he kept it in his head, because everybody else around him was losing his language, losing that language. Did you have something like that as well, where you were able to practice it to keep it going?
Actually, singing. Right. Singing was a wonderful vehicle to retain the language. We started singing when we were young, and learning words, putting words together, listening to people, practicing, trying to get that sound, that unique, authentic sound, that vibratory connection, and synchronizing it with your true expression of self. I think that singing had a lot to do with it, and practicing with other people, young people, just fooling around saying the words. I never thought that it was going to show me something that was that I was going to lead to some sort of coherency about myself and my surroundings, and actually give me an authentic perspective on an Indigenous worldview.
Well, your singing has, and your group has garnered a lot of accolades, 9 Grammy nominations. That's pretty incredible for anybody. 2 Juno nominations. What have those meant for you and Northern Cree?
I think to really look at it in an honest fashion and in a real good way, I think it has meant a lot to the next generation, far more than it has the gentlemen that sing around the drum, because it reverberates, and it has reverberated, and it's touched so many people, and it's gained so many interest in singing and culture amongst the younger people. I know that within the immediate group, it's brought the group to places that Indigenous people have not gone before, to go and demonstrate and share the power and the energy and the enthusiasm and the coherency of the Indigenous singing, Indigenous sound. They've been wonderful ambassadors to all Indigenous people on Turtle Island. I know it's touched on many different levels. It's crossed over to they went to Mexico. They sang in Mexico. They sang where the Beatles sang. And you know, for Indigenous people to be able to say that, share the same stage, same venue as the Beatles, heck, man, that was cool. That was amazing.
Of course, your brother's part of the group, but I understand your daughters are also entertainers themselves.
Absolutely. Singing is a big part of our family, and I think that's part of the healing process of our family. It's like a cohesion, and we've developed a collective understanding of wellness and why we have intelligence as Indigenous people. I have daughters that sing. I have a Fawn. She's a multiple award-winning singer, and her new album's going to be out soon. We look forward to that. I also have Raven and Tia. They've all sang on some of the most prolific drum groups out there, and they also have a wonderful sound of personal sound and a wonderful way of expressing themselves through Indigenous music. I know that it's gone on beyond them, and I know other little girls, other Indigenous women have found their voice in the sound of music, and through that music, as a result of them having been a catalyst for that.
Obviously, music's played a pretty incredible role for your family and through the generations.
Music has always been a part of our family. My late brother was an amazing singer. His name was late Charlie Wood Jr. He sang at the 76 Olympic Games, and with a very prolific drum group. High Noon, big thumbs up to them out there. Round Noon, Ted Noon, and the boys me off. Them guys can really sing it, and I'm very proud of that, because they come from this Treaty 6 territory. Those are our relatives. Anytime one of our relatives can go out there and share that healing and that energy and that electricity and that thunderous expression of Indigenous music, we should all appreciate that, and we should all support each other as a collective, taking personal responsibility to the collective wellness of the nation.
Good stuff. Earl, we got to step aside for a quick break, and then we'll come back and talk some hockey. We'll be right back here on Face to Face to continue the conversation with Earl Wood. Welcome back to Face to Face. Our guest this week is Earl Wood. And Earl, your voice, your face, your clothes, they've all become synonymous now with Rogers Hometown Hockey and Plains Cree on APTN. And just a little on how you actually came to be one of the hosts of the show.
Well, I have grandkids. I have 3 beautiful grandkids, Fawn and Dallas's children. And I went over there one night to go visit, and they suggested that I make an audition tape. I have been an MC for a great many number of years at different venues. Right. So I made the audition tape, and they sent it in, and you go on back to your own reality, and you don't really think too much about it. And then one day I got this call, and I was floored. I was, holy smokes, I got an opportunity here. So that's how I became to be on the Rogers Hometown Hockey on APTN.
Historic game, and from what I understand, that first one was the first time you'd actually been on television and had people speaking to you in your ears and cords hanging out the back of you and everything else. Were you nervous that first time around?
Electrically so.
Yeah.
I was very nervous, and I was very, very nervous. But when you go back to your culture, before we came on, I went out and said a little prayer to the Creator and asked my grandfathers and grandmothers, you know, let me represent the people good here. Let me show something to the young people that can be accomplished. If I can come here, I'm a papagano, pitiful person like myself, they can go further. You know, that's the best we could hope to do, is to lay some tracks so they can follow and they can even go further. And that was my intention.
And so what was the reaction? I mean, we heard quite a bit of it here at APTN following that first game. What was the reaction that you heard?
Holy smokes, it was overwhelming, and the phone was just freaking gonna blow up, right? Mm-hmm. People were calling, they were texting. When I went home, people were shaking my hand. They were saying, hey, you know, the elders, it give me a big sense of pride when the elders, you know, make you cry, you know, when you see those elders. They kind of appreciate and they're happy because they're the ones that we got to thank them, because they're the reason why this language is still here. Because they're the ones that kept it alive, and they were the ones that were even more persecuted than us. And it's here, and that coherency is coming back, and you could feel it. Each and every one of us is a single raindrop, and it's going to come up to a storm, a clear, coherent storm of wellness in Indigenous communities, and the language is going to transcend us to that place, that original, authentic intention Creator had for us as Indigenous people, as a collective. We need to take a personal responsibility towards that journey. And I think coming to Rogers APTN hometown hockey in Cree, I think it has spread an interest and an enthusiasm in the language, like a hot July fire across the prairies with a wind whipping it up. You can see young people, they're taking notice of the language. They're beginning to talk the language. The kids are saying that one word at a time. It's one step at a time, and it's one thought at a time towards a collective wellness. And I see that happening.
Obviously, you have such a passion and love for the language. What are your hopes for Plains Cree from these games and from people getting to hear their language associated with the NHL and on national television?
Well, I read someplace one time that the fastest language that was going to go extinct was the Indigenous language. I would like to see it revitalize itself so it's used in all areas of society, all places. That the inner city youth and the youth that everybody has access to it. And the access I'm talking about is in mainstream media. Lot of our children are going to watch mainstream media, and I know that's where they'll gain an interest in our language, because it has its own unique worldview. And as a collective, if we take personal responsibility to that collective, I could see our language coming back, because ematawak semantu egimi atelwange. Nehiawak elwan pikskon ematawag eugo pamatsi goyak. It lifts us up, it gives us life. It's a healing vibratory sound within the Indigenous language.
Obviously, that first game was something else, but to have it announced that there's going to be a 3-year deal, what does that mean to you, and do you think the viewers and listeners out there?
I was completely, like I say, I never expected any of this, right? Mm-hmm. And you go, when that spirit takes you, and you're going, you go along with it, and you give thanks, and you take nothing for granted. You don't ever take that. That's the attitude, and that's the mindset I come in here with. I think this is a spiritual movement. I think you could even make it like a spiritual movement of the language. There's a time and a place where it's going to have that opportunity to come back, and I think this is now. I think Rogers hometown hockey in Cree on APTN, I think that's one of those raindrops. I think there's going to be more. And for me, it's to have another few years. I think our youth now are going to look and they're going to say, look where our language can take us. Look at that guy, that Bannock and Baloney guy right there. Look, he's on TV. Look where it took Earl Wood.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell them. I tell them it'll take you even further than me.
Obviously, we touched on that. You do the powwow circuit and rodeos and chuck wagons and stuff. Did that all play into preparing you for this role?
I would definitely say so. I do a lot of round dances. I've done powwows, rodeos, chuck wagons, and now Indian relay, the fastest growing sport in North America, the extreme indigenous sport, Indian relay. It's electric, and I think all the many times spent on those tracks and in those rodeo arenas and in the round dance halls till whatever time, I think all that prepared me for this. And I'm grateful for all the people that have ever given me an opportunity to go and be an osakto. Osakto, that means something. That's like a camp crier. There's no bigger honor than to go and speak on behalf of a nation. There's no bigger honor than that. And I take that like that. I'm very humbled and I'm very grateful for that.
You did the first game, and then you would have had a summer to be out there on the circuit. Was that a little different summer for you there after you did the first game? And did you have a number of people, aspiring to do the same?
Oh yeah, there were some times where I got free coffee, and maybe I didn't get the hardest bannock. They gave me that warm bannock, stuff like that. There were some times like that, and people noticed. And the ones that noticed that I really take note of are the little kids. Mm-hmm. Those little kids playing around the chutes, playing around the track, saying, "Hey, there's that guy down there, Cree hockey," and they say, "Pita Wahel." That's so uplifting. And the elders appreciate it. And we got to thank our elders. They're the ones that kept us around, eh? So now when I go out there, when I went back into the Indian relay chuck wagon racing, my relatives, they still treat me like a relative, right? They're still not going to lend me $5 if I ask, right? Because they know I already borrowed and I never paid them back. Right. But yeah, so, our people are amazing. And I love the language, the vibratory essence of the language.
Yeah, I mentioned the Indian relay races, and I understand there's some talk, at least, about broadcasting these as well. Can you enlighten us with any details that you may have on that?
Well, they have an association, and it's called the Extreme Indian Relay Racing Association. And it is an electric, amazing, thunderous fly like an arrow to the front side, trying to outrun the wind. And it is, like I say, Indian relay racing is an extreme, original, authentic sport of North America. It combines buffalo ponies and warriors. We also have races that are lady warrior races, and we also have races for the little kids. Mm-hmm. So everybody's involved, and we paint up the colors of the people, the pride, and the people dress up in regalia, and they amaze and awe the fans everywhere we go. And this is 2020, and there are, from what I hear, there's going to be, we're in the preliminary talks, like these fires, they don't start off big, they start off with a little spark. Mm-hmm. A storm doesn't start off, it doesn't just come like that. First you feel that wind, then you can smell it, and then pretty soon a little raindrop, then pretty soon lightning and thunder. It's coming.
Well, I hope it is. I think it would do well on any network, never mind just here on APTN. Earl, we've got to step aside for one more quick break, and then we'll be back here on Face to Face to continue the conversation with Earl Wood. Welcome back to Face to Face. Our guest this week is Earl Wood, a host on Rogers Hometown Hockey and Plains Cree on APTN, among many other things. Earl, many are interested in your amazing attire. Can you tell us about it, the attire that you wear for your games?
Well, when you go to a powwow, you see people in regalia. They're not called costumes, they're called regalia. Those are our best clothes, those are our finery. And that's how we present ourselves under the sun, under the Creator when we go dance, and that's how we represent each other. Same thing coming here. I want to wear my finery. I want to express my Indigenous worldview, and through my clothing. I'd like to thank some of the people that have helped me in the past year in these past shows. The ladies at the Saddle Lake Sewing Center, I want to thank them. I want to thank Perry from Wild West Gallery. He's loaned me some hats and stuff, you know.
Yep.
I want to thank him, Nascomton Perry, and my kids. My kids are my fashion people. Fawn and Tia and Weiser and Raven. I asked them, "What do you think?" And they'll tell me straight up, right? And some of the colors are, and some of the parts of the attire are reminiscent, and they could be they're reminiscent in their statements regarding the reminders towards the treaties, towards the intention of the treaties to remind our people here in North America that Canada, we're all treaty people, and also. Well, I don't want to. I'm going to wear a color tomorrow regarding Indian residential school survivors and all those that didn't survive. That's the color orange, and the Creator, He put all these colors on the earth, and you could see the natural colors of the earth, and we are all part of it. In the Indigenous mind, everything on the earth is made out of the same liquids, metals, and minerals. So we're all part of it. We're all part of one, and the earth is our mother. Only we have different shapes, so we have different purposes.
Well, I imagine some of the names that you mentioned there will be getting some calls, because I know we've had some questions about it as well. And you're kind of touching on it there, but I understand you wear, something that means something to you each time, each game. What goes into that?
Absolutely. Like today, I'm wearing this vest here. There's a Indian man on the back, and he's riding a buffalo pony. That's to all our men out there that are in the process of healing, and in that process of holistic wellness and moving forward and being a warrior, looking after your kids, looking after your wife, honoring yourself like that. So I try to wear something like that every time. The flowers are for growth. The flowers are for the young people. The flowers are for the people struggling, the people that are sick, the people that are incarcerated, the children in care. To bloom like that, to come back, because every spring we're going to have a blooming. The sun's going to come out. There's going to be new growth. The medicine's going to come back. And we could do that within ourselves, with our own intelligence that the Creator gave us. Like I say, that was our evolutionary protection, was our intelligence.
Well, Earl, it's been a real pleasure to have you here on the show and hear you speak and meet you in person, and that energy sure comes off as it does watching you on TV. So a big thanks to you for joining us here this week.
Thank you very much. Nanaskumtan na mina kakyo au muta mina kitam ketata wa patawe hukahagat miasan.
And thanks again, Earl. That is all the time we do have for the show today. We're always looking for new guests, so if you have any suggestions, please email us at news@aptn.ca. This show and all past episodes are also available as podcasts. You can find those at aptnnews.ca/face-to-face podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dennis Ward. We'll see you next week.